Hey human beings, yeah, sorry, been really busy. Must look at the road, not the camera. Yeah, I honestly, this summer I've just been absolutely up to here with it, and just no time, literally. I've got a family and a wife that need attention, and I'm sorry, but you guys have taken a back seat. So I'm making this little video for you. I'm off to what is it today? It's gonna be not my finest, I say not my finest work, not my finest work in terms of filming. You're only as good as your last job, as they say, so the mechanicals will be perfect, I hope. But the edit might be a bit rough around the edges, so you just have to bear with me. We're off to, hang on a minute, I'm just about to crash this already. We're off to XJR 1300. It's actually an outfit, it's a sidecar outfit. It's got a sidecar, and it's stood for 5 or 6 years. The carbs are absolutely minging. I went out to it the other day to look at it. The carbs are absolutely minging. Took one of the float bowls off that I could get to, green and furry in there, so carbs off, carb clean. It's also got split manifold rubbers. They're looking old and perished. It's stood, and it's, you know, it's 15 years old or something now, this thing, more than that maybe. So I've got some new manifold rubbers, pull the carbs off and give them a proper clean, put it all back together. Hopefully she'll run for a long time. Put a set of plugs in it, maybe do oil and filter as well, we'll see. But anyway, that's that. So I'm on my way there now. It's about a 45-minute drive from where I am. So anyway, I'll check in with you in a little while. Here she is, humans. So we've landed. It's going to be a good day actually. It's got a nice little place to work. I'll show you. So I'm down this little road, this big wide road. It's a private road. It's a lovely day. So first thing we're gonna do is pull the car. Well, we got seat and tank and let's get the back in the van, get out of the sun, it's bright out there. So tank, seat, side panels, all the paraphernalia off first. I'll kind of check in as we go and show you little snippets of it. I haven't got a tripod or anything, so it's a little bit of handheld filmage today. Anyway, I'll check in later when I've got a little bit more apart and show you what's going on. Right, so tanks off, side panels. I've had to take the battery out. So the way you get the carbs off these things is there's 2 screws, 3 screws rather, one there and one there. You take the battery out, then you undo all the clips on the airbox. So there's a clip here, and there's another one there and 2 on the other side, and then there's also clips here for the carbs. So we undo these. And then we slide the airbox back this way to give us room to get the carbs, you know, pull the carbs out this side. There's also other bits as well need to be disconnected to get these carbs off. There's a choke cable here, and there's this electrical connection, and there's some throttle cables in the middle here, which we'll get to as we start to pull the carbs out this way. You can then get to the throttle cables to disconnect them from the throttle bodies. Anyway, I'll show you that as it comes out. So we've got all that gubbins disconnected. Thing to do, let me see this or not. So you get the airbox clips back off the rubber, so they're not in the way. You get this airbox pulled as far back as you can, and then basically you can pop the carbs off. Let me get this. So you can pop the carbs, pull them out of the inlet manifold, and then you can slide them out this way, and then you can get to the throttle cables. Then I can't really, I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed. And then there's some breather pipes and little bits and pieces. They're actually going to come out with the carbs by the looks of it. Yeah, so you need to see in there, you can see the throttle cables. Pull these carbs out this way and then disconnect them. They're actually quite easy to get out, these. The airbox, some bikes, the airbox only moves back a smidgen, and it's a real mission to get enough of a gap to fight them out, or more importantly, fight them back in once you're done. And then there's not going to do that with a ring spanner, are we? So there's a couple of cables here, they need to be loosened, and then down in there, down there, they hook onto the carb So you take them out of this bracket and then unhook the cables from the centre, and that's the only thing keeping them in, and we can pull them out, we can start stripping them. There's one. Get the other one from the other side probably. Anyway, that's as much one-handed filming as I'm doing today. Yeah, I also forgot, I realised as I started pulling it out, these wires here go into the carbs, which go up to these two connectors, carburetor heaters. If you live in California or something, it'll be alien to you, but if I try and get a better shot of it under there. Yeah, so this is this little noggin here, this is a carb heater element. So what can happen is on a real cold winter's day, the inrush of air through the that sort of Venturi effect of drawing the fuel up through the little drilling in the carburetor body causes the fuel to freeze. So this little element here, so this is a positive connection, and then the body of the carburetors is ground. And it just adds a little bit of heat to the aluminium where the fuel is rushing out of the little, whether we can see it down in there. So there's a little hole, can you see it? Down in there, that's where the fuel comes out when the engine's idling. Just focus. So yeah, it stops the fuel freezing in that hole. Holy shit guys, we've got a work cut out here. This is a absolute textbook example of what happens to carburetors when you leave them with fuel in for a long period of time. Are you ready? F me. There's things growing inside. Is this one? I haven't taken this one off yet. Oh my days. Wow. Yeah, that's the cleanest one. That is the one that I took off when the carbs were on the bike to have a look, and I thought, oh, they're not too bad. The boy next door, bloody hell. Right, I'm going to use my super secret carburetor cleaner on these. Going to get all the jets out, the floats out, all that sort of stuff. Float needle valves. What's going on underneath that one? That one's, yeah, just as bad. So I'm going to get all the brass bits out, the main jets, the emulsion tubes, the pilot jets, the idle mixture screws, basically everything I can get out, take the slides out, take the needles out of the slides, soak all those bits individually, and then fill these carburetors up with all the drillings with my carburetor cleaner. Fill these float bowls up with carb cleaner, and yeah, let's see where we end up. You know things are really bad when the actual float needle valve is stuck in its seat. Uh-oh. Got to be grateful for small wins. At least the mixture screws aren't seized in, because that is an extra special nightmare when that happens. Well, that's torn it. It's never going to run again. Let's get you some before shots, some close-ups, and then we'll get some after shots later, hopefully. Doesn't really get that much worse than this. I think the only thing I might fall down on is see these. God, these are hard to film because they're so tiny. See the little plungery bit in the end? So try and poke at one. A little bit there. Bloody shaky hand. That springs in and out normally. I think I've mentioned it on a different video. This one here, the one on that one, that's completely seized in, and the others are seized solid and don't move. That might be the only place I fall down and can't get this thing done today, because I didn't bring any new ones with me. I wasn't quite expecting it to be this bad. Luckily, we have chemistry on our side, so let's see what we can do. That's before. Hope you guys are appreciating this awesome camera work here. I've got my phone propped on an old coffee cup. So, top tip time. So these pilot jets, right, they've got a tiny weeny little hole down the centre of them. They're absolutely blocked, absolutely solid. You could soak these things for days in carburetor cleaner, or even in an ultrasonic tank. They'd have to be in there a long time and it would never break through the crud. So what you have to do, and I don't recommend doing this ever unless you absolutely have to, got to do a bit of pokey pokey. So you've got to force, this is a proper, in shot, this is a proper jet cleaning kit. Nonetheless, you shouldn't really be poking things down in jets, so it's absolutely solid. So what you've got to do is you've got to worky, come at it maybe from the other end as well. Basically keep working it until you can get this all the way through. That was harder than it had any right to be. So once you've got the carb cleaning spiky through, when you soak it in carb cleaner, it lets the carb cleaner obviously percolate all the way through and dissolve all the gunge in there. Hopefully that makes sense. Onwards. Starting to, I was going to say chooch, but that would be theft. Yeah, starting to work because chemistry. So it's kind of a waiting game now, really. You have to re-chooch a few times, and yeah, just probably 45 minutes, maybe a bit longer. The longer the better, really. I mean, ideally you'd want to leave it overnight, but I don't really want to be here till tomorrow, so I wanted to go a bit quicker than that. But yeah, 30, 40, 45 minutes and they'll be ready to be washed off and put back together. The only issue, like I said earlier, is whether or not those little springy bits on the float needle valves come out okay, but we'll leave it 20 minutes or so in there, and I'll fish them out and see if I can free them off and wiggle them backwards and forwards. In the meantime, let me show you the other bits I've got for this bike. Yeah, so I think I mentioned previously the inlet manifold rubbers are, can we zoom in somehow? Yeah, like that, so you can see how badly cracked they are. Now in reality they'll probably be alright. The cracks are quite bad, but they don't go through to the inside. But given that we got the carbs off anyway, it seemed like an opportunity not to be wasted to replace them. So I've got a new set of carb rubbers. So these, I think I've talked about Tormac stuff before. These are basically the genuine Yamaha part. You get a set of 4. I think a set of 4 was 250 quid. Come with the O-rings as well for them, and by comparison that sounds expensive, but the Yamaha ones are £110 plus VAT each, I think, so massive saving on those. Yeah, Tormac. So if you're looking for good quality stuff, Tormac stuff is usually genuine, but you know, sourced and then repackaged. Got some float bowl gaskets, got a set of plugs. I'm wishing now I'd brought float needle valves, and because the needle seats are replaceable in these carburetors, so it would have been nice to just throw the other ones away and use new ones, but I didn't because I thought they'd be okay. But I think I might be able to save them, we'll see. Anyway, a bit more waiting, and hopefully we're getting somewhere. Wow. Hands up. Who knows what hydraulicing means? Hydraulicking is when you get liquid, usually petrol, in the cylinder. You turn the engine over and the piston tries to compress the whatever's in there, whatever the liquid is. It stops the engine dead. It can cause a lot of damage actually. Yeah, it can bend con rods and things if you're not careful. Do you reckon that plug's been in there a while? Oh, it might be good. Shine a light down in there and have a look. Could be the inlet valves are shut. Anyway, onwards. Rightio, so new spark plugs, new inlet manifold rubbers on there. It's worth noting actually, the fuel leaking into the cylinders, in this case the inlet valve was shut, so the fuel never made it into the cylinder. But what can happen sometimes, top tip time, is the fuel can, if the inlet valves are open, the fuel can leak into the engine, seep past the piston rings and contaminate the oil. So you need to be aware of that if you're doing any sort of carb work and the carbs are absolutely minging. The giveaway sometimes is the fuel tank's empty. But I've seen engines, especially Yamahas, because the light on the dashboard for the oil is a level light, not pressure. So you can very easily run these things with contaminated oil. The oil pressure light won't come on, and you can fuck the engine up. I've seen it happen, so just be careful when you're doing this carb work that the oil hasn't been contaminated. Right, what's next? We're going to put the carbs back together. Right, ready for reassembly. I think you'll agree they're slightly better than they were. It's basically magic. The float needle valves, so they've come back to life. The little springy things are now springy again, they're all nice and clean. Got some new O-rings for the emulsion tubes, they've come out basically shiny brass again. New float bowl gaskets. Yeah, so the observant amongst you will notice there's a little bit of staining there and there. Not too worried about that. If I really scrubbed it I could probably get rid of it, but it's not really going to affect anything. You also may have noticed I haven't replaced these needle seats and haven't disturbed them. In hindsight I would have brought new ones with me. Customer will probably thank me for it though, because they're like £20 each. Yeah, there's a little O-ring behind here if you take these out, and there's a danger that once you've disturbed them they're going to leak, and I haven't got replacement O-rings, so I've just cleaned them in situ. Pretty confident it will be okay though. Right, onwards together. If you want another top tip, when you're working on carbs, make sure you've got eye wash with you. Yeah, the least said about that the better really. Yeah, so putty together now. So she's all back together. Nearly time for starty. Just thought of another tip. Just the tip, mind. No, I can't say that either, can I? Do as I say, not as I do. Before you put the carbs on, just put fuel supply to them and make sure they don't leak. I'm just sat here now with the fuel tank on prime, waiting for fuel to start flooding out the bottom of it, which it isn't, which is good. But yeah, you could avoid a lot of heartache by doing that first. So I am pleased to report a couple of issues. The battery's fucked and the slave cylinder is leaking everywhere. but what is happening? Mobilizer. I think I'm going to put my vacuum gauges on it. Tip over's not great. But it lives. Right, gonna probably call this a day now because I'm messing about filming and not actually doing any work. So yeah, so I'm gonna balance the carbs so you can smooth out that tick over, and then that's probably it. Cool guys, a little bit of a carb balance. Sorry I didn't show that, I just need to get done. Smoothed it out quite a bit. What it really needs now is a road test, but kind of it would be over my dead body if I tried to ride this thing. I am not a fan of outfits, and anyway, can't ride it because I've bled the clutch. There was no clutch. The slave cylinder's leaking down there. That's why there's a bit of cardboard under it, because it's pissing fluid out. So that needs doing, and if you stall it without the jump pack connected, it won't restart. So I'm not going to ride it I'm not going to ride it at all. Fix the clutch and then the guy that owns it can ride it. Are we on? I think we are. Righto humans, that's the end of that. Just stopped to get a brew on the way home. Took longer than I thought, that one. So special thank you to my patrons who I haven't put any content out for ages and they're still hanging in there. So well done guys. If you've got this far and you're watching me talk, then it means I managed to make a video and edit it and get it out onto YouTube. So well done me. And I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.